Welcome to my channel. This is an indication of some of the things that I cover on a regular basis in my videos. If you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to do so, and don't forget to click the little bell so that you'll get notified of future videos. Please feel free to share my videos on your social media, and I hope you enjoy the video which follows. Well, Angel and I have been out a couple of times. We have the fire going in the wood stove, the yodel. See a little bit of smoke coming out of the chimney there. I just recently put another bio brick. It has been a most unusual winter. As you can see, we do have some snow on the ground here. But we have not had very much. And when we get snowstorms, it's 3, 4, 5 centimeters, followed by rain, which is exactly what's supposed to be happening tonight. We're supposed to get maybe 5 to 10 centimeters. If that actually happens here, it warms up much quicker here on the coast. And then it's going to change to rain for tomorrow. Never seen a year like it in a long time, I guess. We've had a couple of cold nights. Well, depends on where you live as to what cold is, isn't it? Like last night was minus 12 Celsius, but I don't consider that a terribly cold night as winters go here. The two coldest nights so far have been minus 17. And they were separated by like 2 weeks in between them. What I would call a normal winter here, we get temperatures down minus 20, minus 22, and we usually get what we call a cold snap. Those kind of temperatures will linger for a week to 10 days. Well, it hasn't happened this year. There's been very little snow. One way that I measure my snow is how many times I've had to have my driveway plowed. It's been plowed twice this winter, and neither time it wasn't really all that necessary. I could have got by without it. It's just that you never know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow. Maybe you'll get even more tomorrow. So I had it plowed out twice. But nothing like the year 5 years ago. If you see my videos back from 2015, the worst winter of my lifetime. We had a blizzard every weekend. But anyway, we're out to spend the night in the cabin in our relatively mild winter here. One addition has been a new battery, so hopefully we have lights that won't all of a sudden go out tonight. It's a very overcast day right now, as I say, preparing for some snow tonight. There's no sun at all, and it's still showing 13.3 on the voltmeter there, so that is good. A little while ago the sun was out briefly and it went up to over 14, so I've had it charging for, heavens, 5 or 6 weeks, I think. I left it on the charger. Another good thing not to do. I think how I killed the other battery was by leaving it attached to the solar panels all the time and using it very little. So the plans are this time when we leave tomorrow, I will disconnect it from the solar panel and come back out and hook it back up again a day or two before I want to use the lights in here. So hopefully with the new battery anyway, we have lights that are going to work. The only thing that it runs is two 12-volt LED lights. They give lots of light, but they certainly don't, use a great deal of electricity. I think we have most everything out here that we're going to need. A few more things that I know I still have to go get, but right now I'm going to make, or try to make anyway, just a small loaf of bread that I want to bake. It would be good to have some with dinner this evening, and also with breakfast tomorrow morning, homemade toast would be good. So just going to mix up enough for a small loaf. No recipe. Every time I do this out here, somebody will ask me for the recipe. Well, just follow what I'm doing, I guess. It's very simple, just a couple of cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, and a teaspoon of salt, and then enough water to turn it into bread. If you get it too wet, you add a little more flour. Usually works quite well. Now that's 2 cups of flour, and 2 teaspoons of the instant yeast, and a teaspoon of sea salt. Any salt will do. What I'm using happens to be sea salt. And blend that together a bit. The water that I'm adding is coming out of the tea kettle, but it has never been on the stove. It's cold water that I just brought out from the house. Just a little bit more water, I think. Maybe just a touch more water. And I'll get in there with at least one hand, I guess. See from the amount of dough, it's going to be a very small loaf. I can't do a very large loaf anyway on my Coleman camp stove there, so but this will be enough for the purpose, I guess. I'll do all the kneading in the bowl here just to cut down on throwing the flour all over the cabin. A lot of kneading either. It's a little bit tacky, but not all that sticky, so I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to add too much flour. This wouldn't be fully hydrated either. Once I set it aside to do its first rising, it will finish hydrating, so be less tacky and easier to handle, I guess is what I'm saying. Once it finishes its first rise. I think that will probably do. Using this bowl that has its own plastic cover. I'll set it aside for an hour or so and show you what it looks like then. Well, it's had probably an hour and a half at least of first rising, so I will now knock it back some. Still quite tacky. Bit of flour, I guess, wouldn't hurt anything there. There we go. Just shape it into something like a loaf. Keep pulling in from the sides to the center, and that increases the surface tension on the other side. I think that will probably do. And I will cover that probably with the bowl upside down if it fits over it. In another hour, an hour and a half or so, we'll be ready to put it in the oven. Supper is going to be fried fish, fried haddock, hopefully. And my vegetable is going to be potato and parsnip. My new favorite vegetable combination. I really like this. Been doing it for the last little while with my overwintered parsnips that are in good shape. I left the two small or medium-sized potatoes, I left those whole, and I've cut the parsnips into thinner slices. Parsnips take longer to cook usually than potato does, so I thought that way They might cook close to the same time if the potatoes were in larger pieces than the parsnip. Time will tell, I guess. I'm trying to keep the heat down in here because it's not cold outside. As I think I said earlier, it was -12, which is cold earlier this morning, but it has been warming all day. It's now 3:30 in the afternoon, and it's 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't know if we're going to get snow or rain. Rain won't hurt my feelings any. You don't have to shovel it. But I'm going to put these on the yodel on the wood stove. Hopefully they'll come to a boil. If they don't, I'll have to move them over to the gas, I guess. But trying not to get too much of a raging fire going because it makes it very hot in here. As I said, it's only 3:30, 20 to 4 now, and I'm cooking dinner. I forgot to eat lunch. We've been running around doing things all day. I had a couple of errands that I had to do, and then getting ready to come out here, and all of a sudden I remembered, you didn't eat lunch. Here's my angel baby right there. What I do without her. Angel has had a bit of a rough winter. Well, a rough month, I guess, the last month or so. We were out walking on the golf course, which we do many, many times when the golf course is closed, like in the wintertime or in the fall or in the spring before it opens. We walk around on the golf course, and she doesn't have to have a leash on or anything. It's just off she goes, does whatever she wants to do, and always never goes very far from me. Well, we had just got on the golf course, and we met somebody with 4 dogs. I have met the person before, never ever had any problem. Very nice person, takes in stray animals. I'm not saying anything negative about the person at all. One of those dogs, in my opinion anyway, was a pit bull. I have no idea, that's how accurate I am, but it looked like a pit bull to me. Some of the dogs are fairly elderly, and they sort of stayed behind, but the one that I say is a pit bull came running over to Angel and I. And I was cautious. I was watching what was going to happen here. But they did what dogs usually do. They sniff each other, and I thought, well, it's going to be all right. This thing sniffed Angel and then attacked. It was horrible. If I hadn't been there, it would have killed her. As it was, she's had 2 trips to the vet and several $100s later, but she's fine now. She had 2 bites. One sort of here, if you can see, just under her front leg where it joins the body. Not quite in the shot here, but there's nothing to see now anyway. The hair is even grown back in from where the vet had to shave the area, but she had to have staples in that one to close it off. And the other one was just like a 1-tooth puncture on her side, and the vet wasn't so concerned about that. She said it doesn't need any stitches or anything, and I think that will just heal on its own. But just as a precaution, she had her rabies booster. Was due to have it anyway. I get her the one that's good for 3 years, and it was due to expire in May, so she's just had it a little bit early. And the vet put her on antibiotics and an anti-inflammatory to take down the swelling. And she took those for, 3-4 days, and then she stopped eating. Both of those have to be given with food, so no more medications. But for 2.5 days she didn't eat, and as near as I could tell, she didn't drink anything. I think it was the pills. She's taken the anti-inflammatory before, and that didn't bother her. When she had that limp that time, she took the anti-inflammatory and then took it for months afterwards on occasions when we were going to be doing a fair amount of exercise. I'd give her one. That didn't bother her. It was either she was allergic to the antibiotic or the combination of the two, one or the other. But I took her back to the vet, called, I was very upset. I said, it's been 2.5 days, she hasn't eaten. I know she's eaten nothing, and I've never seen her drink anything. So on the way to the vet, of course, she came out of that. When we crossed customs into Maine here on the Campobello-Lubac border crossing, almost always the inspectors that are there, if you have a dog in the vehicle, they have little dog biscuits that they give you for the dog. Very nice of them. she rarely ever eats it. I'm always embarrassed because I offer it to her and she doesn't eat it while we're there. It may sit on the seat in the truck for 2 or 3 days, and all of a sudden she'll eat it. Well, she hadn't eaten this one, but we got almost, I guess, I guess we crossed the border. We're back into New Brunswick, and there's a place where there are highway scales, and I always stop there with Angel, let her out. It's highway scales that I've never ever seen manned. It's been there since they put that section of highway through. I don't believe it's ever been used. They keep it plowed out. I once saw a woman in there. I said, "Oh heavens, it's actually going to be used today." No, she was the cleaner. She was there cleaning all the windows. But anyway, I stopped there because it's a big area, and again, Angel isn't anything that would ever run away from me or anything. I can just let her out and walk around. She can do her thing. We get back in. When we got back in the truck, she ate that biscuit. And I had bought a bottle of water with me, brought a bottle of water with me, and one of those little, paper disposable bowls. Offered her some water, and she drank pretty near the whole bottle of water, so she was coming out of it. Anyway, the vet, very, very good vet. I go all the way to St. George, New Brunswick, because I really like these vets. And gave her a third exam, and while we were there, she took the staples out a few days earlier than what they were supposed to come out, so Angel since then has been just fine, haven't you, babe? We've been out walking many times. We've done the golf course once again, and one of the things that the vet was concerned about is that she said sometimes an attack like this will change your dog's personality. And I thought, oh dear, I hope not, because Angel has the most wonderful personality, but it hasn't affected her at all. She's fine. She doesn't understand what that thing was trying to do to her. She didn't fight back. She just collapsed on the ground, and this thing definitely would have killed her if I hadn't have been there. So I don't know. I shouldn't be mean-mouthing pit bulls because I'm not 100% certain that's what it was, but that's what it looked like to me, at least part pit bull. So that is our little chat about Angel, who is now 100% better. Aren't you, babe? Yes, give me a paw. It's a good girl. Well, I have my little butane stove out, and the roar that you can hear in the background is the Coleman propane stove. I'm heating up the Coleman oven to bake my little loaf, which has done a fair amount of rising, not too bad, for a couple of cups of flour, I guess. I wanted to use the oven on the butane stove. I had it on there for a brief period, but just isn't safe, I don't think. The gas tank for my propane is outside of the building. It comes through the floor in well, I guess it's a rubber hose type thing, but it comes through the floor, connects to a regulator that's on the stove. But the gas tank for this is here, down inside of this little compartment, and with the oven on there, this compartment was getting hot to the touch. I don't want to be here for an explosion, so I won't be using that. I will, however, try to cook most of my dinner on it, I think. I've put a new canister in, even though the last one hasn't expired yet, so I can add that if I have to. But this is the parsnips and potatoes. I had them on the wood stove for quite some time, and they never did come to a boil because I'm running the stove so low. So I've only been on here a few minutes, and they're boiling away already. Actually, I better turn the heat down a little, I think. But I'm just about to put the bread in the oven. Well, I just took the oven thermometer out of the oven, but it was around 375, so I'll probably even turn that heat down a little bit because it continues to get hotter and hotter. I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour. Keep checking on that loaf, but it should be done. Well, I think it is done. I shut the gas off anyway. I'm not going to listen to that anymore. There's my little loaf. If you can see it or not. Sounds nice and hollow, so I think that must be done. Make toast in the morning with it anyway, hopefully. It's 10 to 6, and we were just over to the house to close up the chicken coops for the night. There is a very fine snow starting to come out of the air, and the temperature has dropped back to -2. So I'm using my potato ricer, ricing my potatoes and parsnips, which I think are well done. The potato certainly was. Hopefully the parsnips are too. Now, I buried the parsnips, of course, with potato. If you watched my previous video, the idea for this combination, which I guess isn't all that strange, came from a YouTube video of a man who was a former chef to the Queen and to other members of the royal family, and according to him, this is the way the Queen prefers her parsnips, is mixed with potato. I got all the pieces of parsnip or not, but check down through, but I think that was all the parsnip. Hope so. I'll add a bit of butter while everything is still hot, and salt and pepper. I may add a bit of milk once the butter has melted, if I think it's still a bit too thick. But what he served, or said he served to the Queen was, I don't know, I think he made a mistake somewhere and still kept the video. It was very wet, sloppy. He put a good portion of it in the middle of a plate, and whatever the meat was, I forget what he was serving. Some sort of steak or some sort of meat on top of it, but it did not look very appealing to me. Well, I think that's good. I can put the cover on those and keep them warm over at the stove anyway. I'm getting ready to fry my fish. Heat up an egg here. And I discovered this product called Fish Crisp sometime in the past year. I really like it. I've done my fish before in cracker crumbs or in panko or just plain flour or whatever. I like them all, but this adds some extra flavor. This particular one is roasted garlic and butter flavored, it says. Package of it does me many meals, of course. Comes in several flavors, some I like better than others. The one that's just their regular one, whatever they might call that, just their original one or whatever, is really quite good. As I said, it's haddock. Dip it in the egg. Let a lot of that drain off. And then into the fish crisp. And my cast iron skillet is over there on the butane burner. I think it's just about ready to put the first piece in. I have noticed something this fall, and I guess probably this past summer. The cabin is no longer level. I guess I should probably do something about that. The oil in that pan's all gone to the back of it. I noticed that the door, if I don't open it fully up, it closes on its own. So I guess the frost last winter must have shifted the cabin a bit. I've got a few more pieces that I want to put in there, but I will show you my dinner when it's in its plate. It smells good. The beans are dilly beans, pickled beans, spicy dilly beans. I put chili peppers in with them. Fish is nice and flaky. Haddock is my favorite fish for frying anyway. I love that coating. It just adds a nice flavor to it all. And I'm loving the Queen's way of eating her parsnips. I didn't add any milk. The chef added all kinds of cream, but I didn't think that it needed any after I put the butter in. Well, it's dark out now. It's, what is it, 20 after 6, I guess. Just prior to getting dark, there was a small amount of snow coming down. Very fine stuff, but, and as I said, it was -2 the last time I checked. So. Try a dilly bean. I really like the dilly beans. I'll have to do more this year. These were done in 2018. Down to 1 or 2 jars left, I guess. Well, I'll finish my dinner and then we'll have a little discussion maybe on books, what I'm reading lately. Well, dinner was over a while ago. I've been listening to the radio. And now I think I'd like to have some crepes. I try to make a small batch of crepes. There was about a tablespoon of butter in the bottom of that melted, and 1 egg, and a little shake of sugar there. Milk. I'm not following any recipe here. Just hoping it turns into grapes, I guess. And some flour. Don't want it to get too thick, but you don't want it too thin either. So just keep adding the bits of flour, I guess, until I think I've got something that's like a grape batter. Still pretty thin. That will do. Let it set for a while anyway before I use it, so that sort of tends to make it thicken up a bit more. So, I'll bring you back when it's ready to fry a few crepes. Well, I think I'm ready to roll here. I don't know what the difference is between the temperature that butane burns at and propane burns at, if that makes any sense at all, but I think this is much hotter. I'm having difficulty getting used to it anyway. I didn't bring anything out with me to measure with, so what I'm going to do here is cover the pan as best I can and then try to pour off any excess, I guess. I see some lumps in there, not good. However, it's not going to stick. I want it to burn. Probably should have cut that part off, I think. I think that will probably... Uh-oh. Ouch. Number one is going to stick, evidently. I didn't oil the pan. I thought there was enough with the butter in the crepe batter. Not too bad, I guess. I'll put a little butter on before I do the second one. You don't leave it as long on the second side as you do the first side, but it's already showing some brown there. So as I say, I think this is much hotter than when I'm used to using propane. Try another one. I think I will put butter on it. A little butter has been added. See if that improves the situation any. Not perfectly round, and I won't tell anybody if you're done. That's better. Well, I'll bring you back when I've got these over at the table and ready to eat them. I think I have enough batter maybe to make 3 anyway. You hear that noise? That's the government plow up on the highway, or the roads up in here, the road that I live on. This is never very successful. I try this every time I'm out here in a snowstorm, shooting off into it with a flashlight trying to show you the snow coming down. It is still coming down, but it's nothing very exciting, I don't think. Enough that the plows are out, though. They've been banging around up in here for quite a while. And most of the tracks that I made earlier today are filled in, so we are getting our 4 or 5 centimeters of snow. Now to see if it turns to rain or not. Well, I'm back to using my battery-operated lantern. We're going along fine with the new battery setup. The lowest I saw it, I think we went down to 12 once or twice, and next thing I knew, everything went out, and it says it's 10 volts, so I don't know. At any rate, we're eating by lantern light. The crepes, my favorite way to have them, or has been in the past anyway, is with lemon juice and a dusting of sugar. I'm sort of doing a variation of that tonight, I guess. I brought out some maple syrup. I'm still going to have my lemon juice. I'm going to put a little maple syrup on them. My tea has steeped. The government truck seems to have gone away. You'd think it was right out here at the cabin. It's quite a ways up to the road, but making a lot of noise tonight. Well, let's see what I think of lemon with maple syrup. Yeah, that is still quite good. Well, I've also got to save battery power on my camcorder, so I will shut this down and see you in the morning when we're having breakfast. And we have more light to deal with. I'll talk about some books then, hopefully. So I'll see you tomorrow morning. Well, it's a beautiful morning after the storm. The snow stopped, I don't know, sometime around midnight, and it started to rain. It rained for a few hours. I'm not exactly sure how many hours afterward, but there isn't a great deal more snow than there was yesterday anyway. It certainly packed it down more. And I don't know, it's above freezing still. But I think it is getting colder. It's supposed to be colder tonight. Well, the coffee is perking and it certainly smells good. I'm going to get my toast on in just a moment as soon as the coffee finishes perking. But I got to show you Angel. She's having a lazy morning. Decided to sleep in, I think. She's been out, but she's back in now and curled up on the sofa, kind of bored. So let's go for a walk. Oh, I'll give it a try at cutting this loaf and see what that's turned out like. Not too bad. See that or not? I guess so. The one thing I've got to remember to do is take the smoke detector down now. I don't think I've ever made toast out here, but the fire alarm didn't go off. It's a very sensitive smoke detector, which is a good thing, I guess, but just a few crumbs of bread burning on the stovetop toaster thing, and we have a lot of noise. Looking forward to trying that. It looks fairly good anyway. Well, the 2 thick slices of toast are on. I've taken down the smoke alarm, so there's no added noise. Been on for a minute or two. Yeah, it's starting to toast. I love using this old camp toaster. Funny thing about it, I thought I would take it over to the house once and try it in the kitchen on my gas range, see if I could use it when the power might go off or whatever. No way, you could leave it on there all day and it won't toast anything. Even the highest burner that I have on my gas range doesn't produce as much heat as the Coleman does or as this little butane thing does, and it just will not toast anyway. Well, I've got to try to conserve battery here on my camcorder. A few more things that I want to record here, and I'm going to run out pretty soon. Well, breakfast is served, I guess. toast and a banana and a new bottle that I've just opened of blackberry jam, not blackberry jam, blackcurrant jam. I must say so myself. And bread is quite good. I'm so used to eating sourdough bread now, it's all I ever make, but this has a completely different taste. Well, I will finish my breakfast and then I'll see you on the sofa. Well, according to the camcorder, there are 31 minutes left of battery time. From previous experience, I know that 31 minutes goes by in about 5. It's not too terribly accurate when the battery starts getting low. So I will finish off here by just talking about 2 or 3 books that have read and one that I'm reading right now. What I'm reading right now is the Grantchester Mysteries. You may have seen on PBS, the American Public Broadcasting Network, a series of videos done on the Grantchester Mysteries. I don't know if they finished, not going to do any more. The particular book that I'm reading right now, I've never seen that televised anyway. They're the story of a Anglican priest in Grantchester, England. I don't think that actually exists. That's probably just something made up by the author. But he ends up investigating murders and whatever with a local policeman. Well, the last one that I saw on television, he was still single. I think was moving to a different area. But in this particular book, he's an archdeacon, married, and has a daughter. So if they've done those continuous series, I haven't seen it yet. Anyway, the book is very well done. I was surprised. I'll find the name of the author here for you. James Runcie, R-U-N-C-I-E. And the one that I'm reading is just called The Grantchester Mysteries. I thought it would just be one book. It's a series of short stories. Each chapter is a different story, and they're big chapters. About half a dozen of them or so in the book, I think. But I'm really enjoying it. It takes place back at the end of the First World War, up into the 1950s sometime. So that is something that I would recommend. It's very, very well written. Another book that I've recently read is called Beyond the Trees, and I'll have to spell this man's name. His first name is Adam, but the last name is Shoalts, and I have no idea how to pronounce that or what nationality it might have been originally. I have heard him interviewed on radio, and he's not an immigrant. He's lived in this country all of his life. He talks about his upbringing in this book. So his family at some point, like my family, if you're not a Native American, you're an immigrant here somewhere, but I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. Very, very interesting book. It's like his diary that he wrote when he canoed across the Canadian Arctic in 2017, which was the 150th anniversary of Canada. Canada was formed constitutionally in 1867. And he did it what would be considered backwards, I guess. He went from west to east, and the rivers, the most of the rivers in the Arctic that he navigated flow from east to west. So he fought the current in all these rivers and ice. He met polar bears. It was a very interesting story. He's written 2 other books. I haven't read any of those yet, but that's that particular book anyway, and I would really recommend it. And the third one here, The Secret Book and Scone Society. And I think the one that I have read is the first in that series. And the author is Ellery Adams. Very enjoyable. A murder mystery type thing. And written in, trying to think what country it's based in. I think it's based in the U.S. But anyway, I might be wrong on that. It's been a while since I read the book. But she's another very interesting author, and I would suggest the book to anybody, and I'm going to look into the series and see if there are more. I'm going to purchase them. I usually buy these things when all of a sudden they pop up on Amazon for almost nothing, a few dollars, so I buy an e-version. Well, I think that pretty much concludes this particular video. We'll be headed back over to the house. This is the second video for this particular winter. I didn't get out here at all in January, but I did one in December prior to Christmas. So if you haven't seen that, you can look that up on the channel. So hopefully there'll be at least a third one sometime before spring breaks, but spring could come here very early the way it feels. Also, it could also turn around and go the other way. I keep saying, you know, knock on wood. But it has been a remarkable winter anyways for us. I mean, it's been winter, but it's been extremely mild and uneventful compared to what winters can be here. Angel is ready to go home, aren't you, babe? I said, oh, I didn't have my breakfast, Dad. You didn't bring breakfast out for me. I had supper, but she didn't have breakfast this morning, which is typical anyway. I'll go home and put her breakfast out for her, and she may not eat it till mid-afternoon. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.